All right, there we go. Sorry about that technical difficulties ever. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the penultimate race of season number 6 here with the Area 51 Racing League Superspeedway Cup Series. So points leader is that number 1 of Gabe Butler. Second place is the 25 of Kevin Freeze. And then in third, you see Raymond Rittenauer. Fourth, Eric Laurie. And in fifth is Corey Lane. Then 6th through 10th, finishing up the top 10 points is Jack Walls, Dean Wilkinson, Brandon Passalacqua, Matt Quick, and Thomas Holder. So the drivers making their laps right now, just putting in their final qualifying laps here tonight. Again, scheduled distance is 75 laps for tonight's event. And of course, do have the opportunity for the potential of 3 green-white checkered finishes. So we'll see if those come into play or not. And I say fuel window, I think it's going to be just underneath that magical 25 lap mark. So we might see some drivers try to stretch it on 2 laps. Or 2 stops, I should say. Some will probably have to take the 3, so that'll be pretty interesting to see how it's going to pan out here this evening. So I also pleased to have back with me in the booth Dale's been doing some moving lately, so starting to get everything back together. So I believe, fingers crossed, we'll be able to have him as kind of a regular in the booth with me here. So really pleasure to have you again with me here, Dale. Looking forward to tonight's race with you.
Yeah, man, it's awesome to be here. Glad to get to be a part of this, as always. Really excited. Like you say, I've been gone a couple weeks, moving to better weather. So just glad to be back in a booth.
Yeah, we were talking before the race started. It's kind of been the way this season has gone. I mean, that one of Gabe Butler, he's just been on a tear. Been looking at the results, and actually he's won 4 of the last 5 races going back to December 13th at Daytona. Had 3 in a row from Daytona, Talladega, then iRacing Superspeedway. Jack Wells was able to break his stranglehold at Talladega, and then last week at iRacing Superspeedway able to get another win there. So it's going to be up to Kevin Freeze to try to close that gap, but those 2 are teammates, and even with the championship on line, the unselfishness of those 2, of that whole team, actually just knows no bounds.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a great season and a truly impressive performance. 4 out of the last 5, a total of 6 out of 10 so far, going into the 11th race today.
All right, qualifying has just completed, so let's go ahead and pull up our starting grid here. On pole position is going to be that number 7 of Dale Willoughby. Again, one of those drivers, part of that group here. Great lap time for him in that number 7 machine. Next to him is going to be Dean Wilkinson. In third, Kevin Freeze. Fourth, Dude Conrad. In fifth, Raymond Rittenauer. 6th, Matt Quick. 7th will be Travis Turnmeyer. And in 8th, Eric Laurie. 9th through 16th, you got Todd Merkel, Kevin Hash, Jack Walls, Charles Johnson, Will Eastman, Bud Steele, Gary Corley, and Josh Garner. And 17th through 24th here, Brandon Passalacqua, John Brill, Michael Spell, Charles Teed, Robbie Richards, Eugene Verdon, Roy Grandy, and Gabe Butler in the 24th position. And then the remainder of the field here, 31 cars looks like taking the grid tonight. Rounding out will be Kyle Hess, Joe McAdory, Dwight Plush, Jim Brooks, Thomas Holder, Brian Pierce, and Paul Fletcher.
We was talking for the race how these typically go green flag most of the way. Really excited to see how they play their strategies out. I know we've seen it in the past where we haven't thought a particular driver would be able to make it on fuel, and they have, and then vice versa. So really interested to see how it's all going to play out.
Yeah, it'll be really curious to see. I've definitely seen some drivers do it. I'm saying if you do it, you got to pretty much do it right off the roll of the grid here. So I'm saying looking to see about strategy calls for some of these drivers. It looks like everybody's going to start on from the grid here. Yeah, so nobody's starting from the pits tonight. But again, so the 2 championship contenders we're going to be looking for. Kevin Freeze is in the 3rd position, and then that one Gabe Butler all the way back in 24th. So I think they've got 2 different strategies here of what they want to do tonight in the race. With obviously you can see that number 1 car starting back in that 24th spot. I have a suspicion that he probably just didn't quite get that 2nd lap in to try to get him to the top of the chart. So he did get a 1st lap in, but I have a feeling that was his throwaway lap going for that 2nd one.
Yeah, turned a 51.077, so about 6/10, half a second off of Dale Willoughby starting first. So I agree with you there.
Yeah, so these guys know all the little tricks in trade. I say a week or two back, actually, I was able to do a race with them. I believe it was at one of the plate races as well, and so just kind of got to have a little bit of feel for just kind of that teamwork that they have with them. And I'll say they definitely showed why they week in week out there's some of those guys that are going to be able to contend for these wins. But again, though, I mean, you got some of the guys here that are a little bit further in the back that obviously are going to try to prevent them from doing that. I'll say also one of those not part of that team, that 55 of Dean Wilkinson, with a great starting spot up in second. So it's going to be up to them to try to shake that group up tonight. Let's say in Talladega, obviously you got that third lane, so we'll say opportunities will definitely be more prevalent than you might see at Daytona, like coming up next week for the finale.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you mentioned the third lane. This track is substantially wider than Daytona. You know, there's opportunities to go 3 wide all the way around the track, and in some cases you're even going to see it 4 wide. You know, passing lap cars. There's really plenty of room to do those kind of things here.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where risk versus reward. Obviously, it gets tempting to try to jump up top and make some moves here, but I say with the car count, we have 31 cars taking the grid tonight. I think that will actually come into play here, just because there are so many more cars on the track. I think it's going to make that potential much greater here. So pace car is just about to make that left-hand turn into the pits, and then have to come through that tri-oval before we get the green flag for the initial start here. Again, front row going to be that 7 of Dale Willoughby, and outside of him the 55 of Dean Wilkinson. All right, green flag is out, and we are underway here at Talladega. Again, 75 laps here tonight. As I say, side by side here up front. So it's going to take a little bit to get these cars wound up here. As you can see, a few cars trying to get to the inside line and kind of get lined up. It looks like on that bottom line. Right now, looks like the 8 of Dude Conrad. He's with the 55 of Dean Wilkinson. I saw the 89 of Matt Quick. He was pretty quick to jump to the bottom there.
Yeah, Kevin Free's pretty much been glued to the Dale Willoughby's bumper since the start. You know, really, both of them had a great start to the race, and he's been able to stick with him as the bottom line is pulling up very well.
Yeah, so right now that the middle groove, say they kind of shuffled out that 55 car. Not sure if that was by design or if he just didn't make the right choice there on line. But yeah, so right now you got 2 rows here going. 7 leading the inside line, 8 of Dude Conrad leading the outside line. He's got help from that 071 of Eric Laurie.
Now, I thought Vernon was going to jump off the, who is that? Top line second car. It looked like he was going to make a move around, but decided to tuck back in there.
Yeah, say right now we've actually, we talked about the teamwork right now, and pretty much most of this top 10 right here is all part of that team boot knocker here. So let's say Dale Willoughby, Kevin Freeze, Dude Conrad, Raymond Rittenauer, Eric Laurie, Matt Quick, Kevin Hatch, Travis Turnmeyer, I believe Charles Johnson as well. They're all part of that massive group here. And say pretty much, I'd say the only one really missing, I think, right now from that group may be that one of Gabe Butler. So these guys definitely kind of, again, setting the pace here early on and just kind of controlling this race here. And that's going to be where somebody, maybe that 6 of Bud Steele, for instance, he might have to be that one to try to jump to the top and make that third line happen, if they want to try to make something happen here early on.
Yeah, speaking of Gabe Butler, you know, starting a little further back there, he's up on the top row trying to make some move forward here to get up with his teammates.
Yeah, let's jump back to that number 1 car here, and yeah, you can see he's in that top line, actually right behind our front row, outside front row there, the 55. So yeah, right now Gabe's showing roughly in about the 18th or so position here. But again, that's going to be subject to change pretty much corner by corner here. As you see, Gabe's going to go to the top here, going to go 3 wide. Just unfortunately does not have any help yet, so I don't see him going too much of anywhere as of yet. But so that's the other thing too, Dale, is this is kind of risk versus reward here. Obviously, you want to try to get towards the front, get with those teammates as well. But when you don't have the help and you're up on that top side, for me at least, I always feel pretty kind of susceptible to stuff that happens down low underneath.
Yeah, because you know the way the banking is, the faster these cars are moving, you know, if it happens on the bottom, it's definitely going to come up into the outside walls. You're in a risky position, and you can't really see a whole lot up there.
Yeah, he was able to get around that 55. So right now showing around the 16th position here. Saying, as I was about to say, he's right behind the 21 Brandon Pasolaco, but he's going to waste no time. He's going to jump back to the top. So I don't think there's any fuel saving being done by that number 1 machine. He's just going to try to get up front with his teammates. And now he is going to pick up some help on that third lane with that 55 of Dean Wilkinson. So we'll see if these two can lock on together and make something happen here. And you can kind of see there's kind of a 2 group right now. You see I believe that was the 44 Dwight Plus. She's kind of last one in this main group here in 44 Machine Kingsford car. And then just a little further back there, you can see the 18 Roy Grandy. He's got some cars around him. So kind of, again, differing strategies here. They're kind of falling off the back of this group. I think just played safe in case of a caution.
Yeah, they're not super far back, but far enough. If something does happen, they can, take evasive action, get out of the way. It's not a bad move early on.
Yeah, there's always this. Oh, I see smoke. Nope, I think we got trouble here.
Big lick into the outside wall, and Gabe Butler's involved.
Yeah, a couple cars, heavy hits here. Looks like the trying to catch the car numbers here. 27, I see Charles Teed. He's got pretty heavy damage to his Mustang. I saw another one a little further back that was also involved. So we'll bring up the first yellow. Obviously, we'll go back and take a look, see what happened to bring this one out. It was Gary Corley in the 65. He also got caught up in this one. Also, same thing, heavy damage for him. So yeah, so say those two, you can see him heading straight to the pits. Going to have to use the one faster pair that they do have. And like you mentioned on the championship side of things, that one of Gabe Butler. Car doesn't look too worse for a little bit on the right rear there. So we'll have to see if that's going to be repairable. So let's go back and take a look and see what happened exactly bringing this caution out. Alright, so we got pulled up here. Actually, looks like it kicked off right around, unfortunately, the one of Gabe Butler. You can see he was working to the outside of the 75 car. So trying to catch the name with the number. That's Josh Garner that he was looking to the outside of. And then you see as they enter turn number 3 here, looks like Josh just washes up a little bit here. And then just, yeah, unfortunately just gets into that right rear of Gabe Butler. And then from there on, just kind of that stack up that you see more often than not here. But the one does a really good job, actually able to hang on to that car, gets it pointed straight again. But then unfortunately you can see just kind of the aftermath, everybody trying to avoid the wreck here. Just they kind of all get piled in there. So you can see the 2188, just a little bit of contact. But then unfortunately the one and the 65, that's where they make the door contact. And the 65 and the 27, big hit for him. Actually, that 65 goes up to the top of the track, all the way back down to the bottom. It gets another shot from the 00 Thomas Holder, and then from there just kind of barrel rolls a little bit. So, yeah, a lot of cars involved here. So you see a couple drivers doing some evasive action to avoid that crash there.
Let's talk about Brandon Passalacqua for a second. Right behind where this starts, he's running on the top line with Gabe Butler. Right in front of him, the stuff goes bad, I guess how we're going to say it. And he manages to keep that car clean through that wreck.
Yeah, so we're going to jump and take a look at that 21 machine here on this replay. And yeah, you can see he was right in the thick of it. Maybe got a little bit of a left rear tag, but still hung on to that car. And yeah, so you can see that everything's kind of kicking off all around him, but he was able to just clear it. So it's one of those things, again, you kind of pick up speed and try to, it's like kind of two trains of thought really, Dales. You kind of slow down to try to avoid it from behind you, or you got to gas it and try to get away from it. Again, just watch again, seeing a wild ride that the 65 unfortunately took there. But the crazier part about all this too, Dale, is actually everybody here is going to stay on the lead lap after all this is said and done here.
Yeah, so lucky break for a lot of drivers on that. And also, you was talking about 25 lap fuel runs. So, coming around lap 7 right now, definitely going to shake up the strategy a little bit.
Yeah, I think at this point we probably won't see too much strategy. I think at this point, I believe everybody went ahead and pitted there. I do see one car, the 120 Will Eastman. Looks like he actually stayed out, so he's going to be on a little bit less fuel than the rest of the leaders here. However, I believe everybody else looks like they went ahead and pitted on that last stop. It looks like a lot of them took fuel only. Some probably tires or damage repair to their machines, but this will definitely make it now where it's going to be a 2-stop race here to the end with that caution, and I believe where it came out at. Actually, here comes the 120 now. Will Eastman, he's going to hit the pits. I'm a little worried about this, Dale, because we've seen this with iRacing. The bigger tracks, like 2 miles and greater, so like the Michigan, California Auto Club, and of course the plate races here. if you do not pit that first time by, the pits close for you the second time around. So I'm just a little concerned that that 120 might get entering a closed pit penalty here, just due to when he went ahead and hopped in here.
Yeah, I was thinking thinking the same thing on that, and I'm guilty of having that happen to me. So interesting to see how it's going to pan out for him.
Yeah, well, we'll keep an eye on the restart and see if he has to duck back in on the probably coming after the green flag, because again, with the start finish line being so far back, he can't really serve the penalty if he does get one at the beginning of coming to the green. So he's going to have to run another lap around and then jump in. So yeah, we'll have to see if that does come into play or not, or maybe he just drove through the pits the first time by, maybe missed his pit stall and we just didn't catch it. So we'll keep an eye out for that one. But yeah, on the championship side of things, though, again, that 25 Kevin Freese, he's now running in that second position. And like we mentioned, that number 1 of Gabe Butler got caught up in that a little bit. Damage-wise, I think he's okay. But the issue for him, I say we talked about bonus points, things of that nature. Obviously, no benefit for either of them for getting a bonus point for the pole position tonight, as it went to the 7 of Dale Willoughby. But there's also bonus points for having a 0 incident race, and so I said that's already going to be out the window for that one car.
Yeah, looking back, and it's exactly how you said it might have happened. It looks like he just rolled through. Will Eastman, that is, missed his box and decided to make another go at it.
Okay, that's good to say. As long as if he can avoid a penalty, that'll be great, obviously, in that sense. And honestly, I mean, that's the way to do it too. I mean, you got another chance to pit. There's no sense of trying to like stop in the pits and try to reverse back and all those kinds. It's just going to make things worse for everybody else. So I think it's the right call for that 120. And I mean, again, this is Talladega. Give yourself about 10-15 laps and you can pretty much be right from the back all the way back to the front here if you push. All right, pace car's back in. Again, now these restarts are on the leader, so it's up to that 7 of Dale Willoughby when he wants to go. He's got a lot of teammates with him here, so they could go a little bit early. But of course, with these plate races, you leave yourselves a little bit susceptible for that big draft to catch back up to you if you do. And you can see it looks like they do wait for that green flag to fly. So it's going to be a pretty even start here. Now it's all going to be all about who gets that better push right off the bat here.
Yeah, not surprised to see Kevin up there in the second spot. Great guy to have in front of you or behind you at these big tracks. So not surprised to see him where he's at all.
Yeah, so I think his goal now is if he can get that push that he's hoping for right there from the 87 Raymond Rittenauer. If those two can lock up and kind of shove their way to the front here, get that 25 a lap lead, again, that's going to kind of help that bonus point situation for him. That's going to be the goal right now. If you're that 25 Kevin Freese, again, you don't want your teammate to have troubles, or even if it wasn't a teammate, just competition, you never want them to have any troubles. You want to beat them heads up. But at the same time, you get the opportunities. You got to take every opportunity you can here to try to gain all the points you can going into the finale next week.
No, you're exactly right. There's a lot on the line. Race 11 of 12 right now, so there's definitely a ton on the line.
If there's a team or manufacturers type championship, let's say that team will probably have it locked up by now, just again by how well they do week in and week out. But I say this one's going to be all on the driver's side of things. So I'll say again, it's going to be, we'll keep an eye out. It's still a long way to go here. Actually, you can see the 8 of Duke Conrad. He found his way to the top. He's got that push to the front now, so he's going to take over the point here on the inside line. So we'll see if maybe that 25 can get the push he's looking for from the 87 of Raymond Rittenauer. As you look a little bit back there, again, you see that one of Gabe Butler trying to find his way forward here, but right now, just unfortunately, kind of stuck in a bit of a gaggle there.
Yeah, it looks like everybody might have calmed down a little bit. Pretty much single file there toward the back, and then you get a well-organized top and bottom line up toward the front of the race pack. Not a whole lot of moving around. Everybody's kind of falling in line.
Yeah, as soon as we said that, you see one jump to the top. I think that was the 86, I believe, Kyle Hess. He's jumped to the outside line, but looks like no help, so he's going to fall straight to the back here. And that may have been by choice. I mean, we've done that ourselves sometimes. We're a little bit further up in the field than we feel comfortable at that time, so you kind of roll to the back and then kind of go in fuel save mode, or just kind of bide your time until it's really time to go after it. So I said, we'll keep an eye on Kyle and see, but right now it looks like he's just kind of cruising to the back here. And put himself in a more safe, more comfortable spot here at this point. Again, still 64 laps to go in this 75 lap scheduled race.
Yeah, long race, a lot left to go. I think, obviously later on people's going to start making moves, but it's calmed down a lot. Even one car, Gabe Butler, just riding there in the top line, not really driving like he was the first 7 laps.
Yeah, I think that's going to change your strategy here. Is I'll say when you race initially, you start off the race, you got that one faster pair in your pocket. So unfortunately, the one car had to use his, or no, I'm sorry, hasn't had to use his fuel yet. But those that did, though, the 65-27 cars, I think they're going to probably be in a little bit more of a conservative mode here, at least at this point in the race, until it's really time to go. As he also switched over to the 8 of Duke Conrad, see, he's actually starting to do the same thing. He fell back to the back of the pack here. So I think maybe he got that lap led and decided, okay, now I'm just going to ride here until it's really time to go.
He's not really trying to, like you say, just falling back, not really trying to jump in anywhere. Might jump here in front of the 90 car, but just kind of falling back, doing his thing right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many strategies that can come into play here. I say it might be one of those things too, where maybe he's trying to get back to his teammate, to that one of Gabe Butler, where maybe at some point they can kind of line up and make that charge to the front. So that's going to be the next question, of course, too, is going to be the pit stop strategies of when you're going to start making these pit stops. Again, still a long ways to go until that's going to really come into play here. The first one we're going to see is probably when you're going to get to about just under 20, just under 50 to go, I should say. So I'd say probably around let's say 45 or so to go, maybe somewhere in that window. I think that's when you'll want to see some of these drivers probably want to make their first of the 2 green flag stops again. Fueling is just under 25 laps if I heard correctly. So, and of course, if you're up front, it's going to be burning a little bit more fuel. So might be more in the 22, 23 range for these guys up front.
Yeah, definitely the front 2 cars are going to burn a good bit more fuel, but they got the drafting help behind them. I'm kind of surprised they're just staying side by side. Dale Willoughby and Kevin Friesar, pretty much since the restart.
So they're going to have some company here. It's looking like shortly, because we've got a couple guys finally decided to make that third line try to happen. So you got Charles Johnson leading away in the 9 machine, Bud Steele in the 6 right behind him. Then you've got the 88 of Michael Spellin. So we're talking about him riding early on. There's the 1 of Gabe Butler. He tried to go to the top. The momentum area. He's going to drop back to the middle here. But yeah, so that third line is starting to form here, though.
That top line gain momentum down the backstretch usually, and the 6 there's got to be right on his bumper, to maintain it, or the bottom 2 lines will just walk by him.
Yeah, so that's where getting lined up and working well together, just having kind of lining up really on top of the other car. That's really what's going to get you that speed, and that's where we've seen some of the times where some of those teammates were able to sneak away from the field, is just because of how organized they are with each other. But as I say that, though, I mean, Charles is moving up here, so he's got Bud right to the back bumper of that 9 machine, and they are starting to slowly but surely, even with just those 2 cars, are starting to kind of push their way forward here. They're about now, looks like about to the 3rd row here on the outside line.
Yeah, you'll see him. I have no doubt he'll get up next to Kevin. I don't think he's going to get past Kevin, though. It's so hard, especially with 2 cars. You kind of just hit a wall of air up there as Kevin gets a big run.
Yeah, that's going to be the run that Kevin is looking for, because if he can keep his momentum up, this might get him that lap led in that number 25 car again. That's going to be a bonus. But actually, as I said, that we got a caution in the back here. So trying to see exactly what happened where. You see the 8 of Dude Conrad. He's actually been able to just come to a stop to avoid it here. I'll say, oh, see 1 on its lid there. I think that's the 4, if I'm not mistaken. It is the 4 of Paul Fletcher. So he's going to have to take a tow, unfortunately, there. Also, Dwight Plush with some pretty heavy damage as well. So it's that's gonna bring the caution back out here, and say, like you said, that 25 car had the lead at the time of the caution, so he will get a lap led for sure at that point. So now we're gonna go back and see what happened here. So I think it started off right around that 44 of Dwight Plush. You see, you got the 90 of John Brill to his outside. Inside is the 27 of Charles Teed. And it looks like Charles may have just washed up just a little bit to the outside there, and unfortunately pushes the 44 into the 90, and then from there it's pretty much on. So you see actually heavy contact between the 27, the 44, the 76, and then that's where they get into the 4 there. of Paul Fletcher, and that's what pops Paul Fletcher up in his lid. So yeah, some pretty heavy damage for a handful of these drivers here. Like I said, the 27, the 44, the 76 also got involved pretty heavily there as well. And of course, the 4 going up and over on his lid, having to take a tow, unfortunately, as well. So yeah, so that's going to be some cars that are definitely going to need to get some damage repaired, possibly fast repairs as well. I was actually looking at the 76 of Jim Brooks, and you see that front clip's actually missing off the front of his car, along with that 44 Dwight Pledge. So I think those guys are just, at this point, are going to be pretty much forced to take that fast repair.
Yeah, Jim Brooks just a victim of position on that one. The 27 was coming up from the bottom, the 44 coming down from the outside wall. They met in the middle, and it happened to be where Jim Brooks was at. So, tough break for him. Wasn't really a whole lot he could do.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, wrong place, wrong time. Occasionally, that's the story of these races here at Daytona, Talladega. You're going to see that. As to say again, more pit stops coming through. Looks like Kevin Freese, he's going to hold serve here again. I think another fuel stop only for those guys up front. Say these tracks don't really wear the tires here, so I think that's definitely the strategy to go with right now. There's always a couple trains of thought here of when to use your tires. Maybe use them during caution, then take fuel only during the green flag stops. So we'll see. SA still, again, long ways to go, and we're still in that window. They're still going to need 2 more stops to make it to the end. I say it's definitely not enough to do a one-stopper from here.
Yeah, you talk about tire wear, and we've noticed this in our races as well. Up on the track at speed, like you don't really notice it. Where you really feel the old tires is coming off pit and going around the access road to get to the backstretch, to merge up. Can get very, very loose in that little short span, doing about 130 mile an hour.
Still got a handful of drivers here sitting in the pits as well, say getting damage repaired, it looks like. So actually it looks like so you still got Charles T, Jim Brooks, Jude Conrad, Dwight Plush, John Brill. They're all in the pits here. So I think the 44 and the 76 are opting to try to see if they can get this damage repaired manually. Again, they can't really see what their car has or doesn't have at this point, so they're definitely not going to be I think they're going to have to use a fast repair if they want to be competitive here tonight. Ones that might be able to get away with the repairs are going to be that 90 of John Brill, the 27 of Charles Teed. Say Charles, of course, he has no choice, so he's also actually out of fast repairs here. So I'll see the 4 there. He's coming back out on track. That's Paul Fletcher. So he's unfortunately trapped to 1 down, but at least is still on the only car 1 lap down here at the moment. So now these other guys that are still sitting in the pits, they just got to make sure that they don't get trapped a lap down here.
Yeah, you talked about, Jim Brooks missing the front clip. Kind of surprised he's not using a fast repair, but like you said, he cannot see that. His hood's still there, so everything might look somewhat normal from his vantage point.
Yeah, he's still sitting in the pits here, so that's going to put him 1 down as well. So yeah, so say not going to be what he's looking for there, unfortunately, in that 76. And also surprising again, the 8 of Dude Conrad, he's still in the pits. I don't think he had any damage from that incident, so something may have gone on, say either with his rig or something like that. So he's still sitting in the pits. So that's actually going to give us 3 cars now down a lap. As you can see, some of these drivers topping off here on the 1 to go and hopping back out there. You see the 9, the 6, the 88, the 12. I think that is the 00, the 55, and the 57. So it's a pretty good group of cars here topping off there on the 1 to go.
Change up front, when the caution came out and the cars were shuffling around, it's going to roll Dale Willoughby back to the, looks like 4th position. The first time this race, he's not restarted on the front row.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So say Dale's going to be shuffled back just a couple of spots here. Obviously, it's always nice to be out in front, kind of have control of your destiny. Well, I wouldn't say control of your destiny. Say with these tracks, you're kind of at the mercy of those around you here. But the other thing to mention are, again, the championship battle. You see that one of Gabe Butler right behind the 83 of Jack Wall. So he's moved his way now up into the top 10 in that 9th position. So, again, so he's starting to get a little closer to his friends and his teammates there up towards the front of the race, up at the front of the field here, where he'll probably feel a little bit more comfortable. So I think that's going to be his goal, is to kind of get locked on with his buddies here, and from there try to see if he can just kind of have a safe finish to the end.
Jim Brooks now rolling off pit lane. Dude Conrad's still sitting there, so I think he might have had some out of sim issue. Not really like him.
Yeah, something probably came up, unfortunately. I just had to step away. So I'm going to stay focused on the leader. I don't know if you can tell from your side. Is that 76? Does it have a fast repair done to it, or is it still missing that front clip?
Front clip.
Yeah, so they're going to gang up on him very soon as the field's coming through the travel here. And we are back underway again here at Talladega. Again, Kevin Freeze on the inside line, Raymond Rittenauer on the outside. Again, they wait till this. That was actually a pretty late start there. So I think they definitely waited for that green flag before they went ahead and got going here. So they're going to get through the gears here. And as they bring you right so next round, 55 laps to go in this one.
Yeah, on the restart of the plate track, you know, I guess they're not plate tracks anymore, but it's not really that big of a deal to not get a huge jump on everybody else. So they're going on the green flag to keep the whole team bunched up. It's very predictable. You can see the pace car going in and nobody.
Yeah, I could see maybe some games towards maybe on a checkered restart where if you've got maybe some of your teammates lined up around you, kind of a thing where you're all talking to each other. You got your own private channel. You say, okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Try to catch those other guys sleeping. You guys kind of lock onto each other, and then from there just try to set sail and get to that white flag. So at this point in the race, it's still too early for something like that, but I do think that's something we could see in the future, depending on how it plays out. It's actually already breaking up in 2 packs here a little bit. You see the front group here pretty much led by up to, I'm trying to catch the number here, so it's not going to take too long for them to catch back up. You see Bud Steele's kind of caught in the middle here between the 2 groups. He's going to catch back up to him. I think Michael Spell's going to grab right back onto the back end as well here. But just for a moment, that's when you're in that second or third group there, so you start getting a little nervous if you're going to fall off that main pack there when that restart like that happens.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you really got to mind your interval. Start communicating with the guys behind you the best you can. Hey, get up here, push me, whatever it takes so you don't lose the draft.
Yeah, exactly right. So we did actually have a couple guys fall off the back, though, unfortunately. John Brill, Dwight Plesh, they're off the lead now. Say also the 4 of Paul Fletcher. Say he was a lap down. He's unfortunately fallen off the back of that draft as well. And it looks like the 27 of Charles Teed, he went ahead and hit the pits here. So I think the damage repair wasn't quite enough to fix that car. And unfortunately, I think that may have I think he has retired from the event here.
Watching Charles Johnson trying to get up there and start the third line again. My concern with that is you have Jim Brooks, who's about 20 mile an hour slower than the lead pack, and 9 seconds in front of him. They'll catch him here in probably a lap.
Yeah, it looks like they've gotten back 2 by 2 now. Start kind of communicating with one another. Obviously, they can all chat through iRacing. You're gonna be like, hey, we got a lap car coming up, and so sometimes they'll ask, hey, are you 2 wide, are you 3 wide, and that'll help the lap car decide what to do here. So, of course, as soon as I say that, Charles is back up onto the top here. So he's got to get some help here. He's got the 6, he's got the 55 working with him. So now if you're that 76 of Jim Brooks, you kind of hope that they're going to get settled back to double file before they get to you, because he's, like you said, he's just a couple seconds ahead here. The best chance he might have here is if they catch him off of turn number 2, maybe he could get down to the apron. So we're definitely have to keep an eye on that, though, because this is definitely where things could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're Jim Brooks, you don't want to be the cause of the next caution.
It looks like he's going to be just far enough ahead at this point for them to not quite catch him there. You can see him there for just a split second. Yeah, you're right, though. Still, actually, as I said, we got trouble in the backstretch. That's going to bring out the caution. So it actually hasn't come out yet somehow. I don't know how. There's no way on this one. We had a bunch of cars involved. The 65, Gary Corley. The 6 of Bud Steele was involved as well. There's the caution flag now comes out. And I want to say, I thought I saw the one in Gabe Butler may have been really close to that as well, if not actually in it. So that's actually going to bring out our 3rd yellow of the night here. I'm going to go back and see what happened, but that's actually going to, I think that may actually bail out that 76 of Jim Brooks and save him from going an extra lap down. So let's go back and see here. Alright, we're looking. Oh, we can see actually. I think it was just a push gone wrong there. I saw the 9 of Charles Johnson try to push. I believe that's the 65. And I think they kind of got stacked up afterwards, and from there, so it was just kind of unfortunate. Just yeah, not much they can do. And yeah, actually, indeed, that one of Gabe Butler, he does get involved in this as well. Somehow, actually manages minimal contact with the wall. Definitely still made some contact with it. Brandon Pasalacqua, we talked about him on that previous yellow as well. He went for another ride here. This time going off-roading through the grass. I see him trying to kind of slide that car and save it here. And actually, it looks like he does. So great hands by that 21 car. Again, 2 times now where that could have been way worse for him than it wound up being. So yeah, so a lot of cars here. Yeah, I say it's gonna be. Again, I think this is gonna be this will actually start making the fuel mileage here, though. Actually, Dale, pretty interesting because we're gonna be right outside that window here to make it one more stop as we're about to. Their leader's gonna hit the pit road here with 50 to go once they cross the line.
Yeah, and there's decisions that are going to have to be made. 50 to go. They can stop it if they do it right.
And I believe, let's say you see Paul Fletcher, he's still on track here. I think he may actually be the wave around, so that'll put Paul Fletcher back onto the lead lap here. We'll keep an eye on this number 4 machine, see if he's able to cycle on through. Yeah, it looks, well, let's see. I'll say first he's got to catch the pace car, but we'll see if he's going to back off or he's able to keep on going around. Because it should be, yep, there he goes. Okay, so Paul Fletcher, he's going to get back on the lead lap. And the 76 Jim Brooks, he's going to stay out. He's going to take the wave around, I presume, here on the 1 to go. And I just, I mean, he's missing that whole front clip of the car. Even with the draft, I don't think that's going to be enough to hang on to it.
No, I'm wondering if he didn't use a fast repair from the first incident and we didn't realize it, or maybe he did it on accident.
That is possible. I'd say sometimes if you have just a little bit of damage and you pit and you don't have the fast repair turned off, it will actually go ahead and serve it for you. So, and actually you see him here trying to see if I believe he should still be able to stay on the tail end of the lead lap. You saw him kind of start between the couple of the guys on lead lap, so it kind of looks like he may be falling back behind the leaders. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see here, but yeah, definitely not the night he's been looking for here. Again, I believe he should still have a fast repair available. May not. We're not 100% sure. But for the leaders, though, again, Dale, this is going to be where the strategy is going to kick in. So right now we've got 20 or 50 to go here. Fuel window sounds like it's just inside the 25 lap mark, which would be that one-stop strategy here. So I think we are gonna see a pretty good group of guys here probably top off on this 1 to go to just try to give them a chance to make it to the end. Alright, so talk about the drivers topping off. We do have a handful, not as many as I thought, honestly, but we're going to have the 55 of Dean Wilkinson, Brendan Pasalacqua, I see in there as well, Gabe Butler, Bud Steele, Dwight Plush, and Paul Fletcher. Saying, again, for Paul, he just got his lap back here, so he's gonna pit, get his lap back, get tires, get fuel, and he will be able to now kind of be in contention here, say, and this is going to be where that strategy is going to come into play. How much do you save? Versus how aggressive do you need to be and all that kind of stuff, because of course, I mean, if you can avoid an extra pit stop, that's going to be huge for you in the grand scheme of things here.
Was Jim not able to take the wave around in that 76 car?
Yeah, it does not look like. I think what may have happened there was I think he was too far back by the time that he actually crossed the start finish line. The leaders were already around him. Again, because I mean, you're just taking a couple seconds. It was 5-second pit stops for Kevin and Dale there. So I think he was so far back and didn't kind of close that gap to the pace car quick enough that they actually beat him out of pit road. And so that's what it wound up trapping him back. So he's still going to be trapped a lap down. And again, say with that whole front clip missing. So those guys that topped off though, they got to be careful here. I'm assuming they're probably aware of the damage that 676 has. So again, we talked about the kind of the teamwork and the conversations these drivers have with each other. So I would suspect somebody's gonna be like, "Hey, just FYI here, you're missing your whole front clip." So I know I've been in that situation before, and I'll basically restart on the apron to let those guys go up top here. So we'll see. Hopefully they don't fall off the draft, because again, that's what we talked about. That's where that risk comes in for that topping off on those one to goes, is falling behind the field here.
Absolutely right. They're going to have to. They're going to have to hustle. I mean, especially this late in a race. It's not so far in that they won't be able to recover, but 50 to go. I mean, it's to that point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this definitely has had more incidents and more cautions than we're familiar with this series. But at the same time, I mean, it could very easily go caution free to the end as well. So something we're going to have to keep an eye on here as they see leaders getting back on the gas here. Again, Kevin Freed ready to go to the outside. Dale will be with Kevin Hash to his outside. So we'll see on this restart. But so far, it looks like everybody's holding on to the start. You can see, yeah, here comes the start around the 76 to try to catch back up to that group.
Yeah, concerned about the 55 who's just bad. Jim's taking the apron there, just getting out of the way. I was concerned about the 55 riding behind him and how much time he was going to lose.
Yeah, let's say I think that was exactly what we thought. He has enough speed to get going, but then once the arrow kicks in, there's just nothing you can do. So I'll say now, of course, like we mentioned, though, you got to make sure that you stay a little bit closer, because they are a little bit at risk here. That 55 Dean Wilkinson, he's just off the back of this group. I think they're going to be able to lock back on and close that gap down here. So it's only about a half a second or so. But again, I'll say, especially on these restarts, that's where it's really easy to lose that main draft.
Yeah, absolutely. Got a handful of cars back there. Looks like missing the front clip. Not going to be able to stay with the main pack, but they'll be able to gain a 2 mile an hour off each other.
Yeah, so it looks like the 44 and the 76 are going to kind of have to just work together right here. 44 Dwight Plush, he's actually on the lead lap still in that car. I say, of course, Jim Burke still trapped one down, as is John Brill in the 90 machine. He was using the pits for an extended period of time as well. So unfortunately, he got all down. He's already about a full half a lap behind the leaders here.
Pretty much has changed up front since the start of this race. Still got Kevin Freeze now in the bottom lane, and Dale Willoughby in the top lane. But the teammates, everybody's up there working together and just kind of holding their own ground.
Yeah, I'd say right now, looking at the starting positions to where they are currently, most of the field who is up front started up front. One of the outliers of that is in that 9th position, that 12 Robbie Richards, that black and blue paint scheme there. Trying to catch what the sponsor was on it there. But yeah, say right now Robbie showing right around the 9th position, and then right behind him also the 88 of Michael Spell from 19th to 10th. So right now those are 2 bigger movers here of the race here early on. But otherwise, like I said, up front though, pretty much the top, looks like about the top 7, top 8, pretty much all qualified right in the top 10.
Kind of getting a couple car lead. First time we've really seen that this race. As I'm looking, it also looks like the 76 of Jim Brooks has retired his race car for the day.
Yeah, you're right. Looks like he went ahead and parked it. So yeah, I think you're right. Probably may have unfortunately had to burn a fast repair early on, and just at that point was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, and so try to get as much as it could repaired, just obviously not enough to get it done. So that's going to give us 3 retirements now for the evening. Charles Teed we mentioned earlier, Gary Corley also in the 65, he retired, and then now the 76 Jim Brooks as well. So it's going to leave us 27 cars on track at the moment here. Let's say that number 8 of Dude Conrad still sitting in the pits again. So I'd say we kind of suspect something may have gone on to kind of take him away from the computer, but hopefully everything's all right there as well for him. And actually, here comes the 6 of Bud Steele. He's hitting the pits here. Duncan Dutt's scheduled. So the car looks okay, so I'm not sure what's happening right now for that number 6 machine. Still up front though, still running 2x2 pretty much all the way back. Yeah, it is actually 2x2 all the way back, as you can see there on the screen. So again, right, like I said, I think the way these cautions have kind of kicked off early and often here at the beginning, I think that kind of changed the driver's approach here a little bit, maybe let them settle in a little bit more, I think, before they want to really get after it again here. So we'll keep an eye and see when that's going to happen. So we've definitely seen drivers want to make their moves towards the front here earlier on. So I'll say one of those that's starting to creep their way into the picture. We talked about him earlier, kind of in the back of the pack. That's that 18 Roy Grandy there. He is now showing in the top 10. He started in the 23rd spot. So again, he's also one of our higher climbers.
As the leaders meet the lap car of John Brill in the backstretch, you see him take the apron and get out of the way. I was kind of concerned. It looked like they were going to meet there at the exit of 2, but he was able to hold enough speed to get back out of the apron.
Yeah, exactly right. And you'll see that from time to time. Those drivers try to make sure that they can, if it's not in a great spot, they'll go ahead and just kind of drop to the apron. We've seen that happen from time to time as well. So, and say, we're going to try to, again, go back to, say, not to harp on it, go back to our championship competitors here. Looking at that number 1 of Gabe Butler, you can see he's just kind of cruise control here at this point. He was one of those drivers that topped off on the 1 to go, along with that 55 of Dean Wilkinson in front of him, Paul Fletcher behind him, and then also the 22 of Joe McAdory. So those 4 drivers, they did top off on this 1 to go, and they are still in this lead pack. However, one other one that did top off there is the 21 of Brandon Pasalacqua, but he's right up in the mix here in that middle groove, kind of in the middle of this pack. Curious to say about Brandon if he is going to try to stretch to make it a one-stopper, because usually if you're going fuel save mode, you're right where those cars that we mentioned previously are on the inside line, kind of just really trying to cruise, save fuel, trying to be as light on the throttle as you can without losing the draft, because it's a tough track to save at, but if you can really kind of modulate that throttle, you can save a lot of fuel here. You can save a lot of fuel, so that's going to be the strategy for some of those guys, I'm sure. So we'll see if it gets to that point and say we're obviously not there yet. Still a long ways to go. Say still not even halfway to the next scheduled pit stop here for fuel. So I'll have to kind of wait and see how it's going to pan out.
Yeah, you talk about being on the bottom line. You burn so much more fuel, just riding that next lane because of the size of this track. So much distance is added on. Running a lane or 2 up, that it's burning quite a bit more fuel than the bottom line.
Yes, I'm double checking my numbers too, as I feel like my numbers are off right now. No, actually, okay, I see where I'm at now. Okay, I was trying to figure out my math, make sure I wasn't way off here if they'd be pitting. So yeah, basically those that topped off, they're going to try to get to about 24, 25 to go. And even then, though, they'll still, even that final run, that's not going to make it where they can just hammer to the floor and go. They'll have to be diligent if they do this and try to save that whole next run as well. So I say it's definitely it's a really tough thing to be able to do, to kind of train yourself and just be patient and pace yourself for at this point, 2 entire fuel runs. So well, again, we'll see if we get to that point in the race, but if you're those cars that did that top off, I think that's what we see someone doing here, just having to kind of really be patient and not abuse their stuff here. Up front, team party still goes on here with Kevin Freeze with Raymond Rittenauer right behind him. And you got the 51 of Travis Turnmeyer there, that 3rd car on the inside line. On the outside, again, still teammates though. You got the 03 of Kevin Hash pushing the 7 of Dale Willoughby. So right now, pretty much the whole top 5 here, all part of that same team here working together. And we talked about the 120 of Will Eastman. He's worked his way up into this top group as well. So they are slowly but surely creeping in the picture. And also got to mention the other 2 teammates for the in that lead pack here, that 071 Eric Laurie, the 89 of Matt Quick. Again, they're also in the same boat as well. And Matt's one of the ones I always try to watch Matt, because Matt's he's pretty tricky. You say he knows how to save fuel very well. He's always been one of the ones to go the furthest on fuel than anybody. So while he didn't top off, I wouldn't put it past him to be able to save that extra lap or so that might be needed to try to do a one-stopper here.
Yeah, you see him, on the bottom lane, leaving some distance between him and the car in front of him. Not all the way on the throttle. I'm sure he's definitely partial throttle, and he's got it so that if something happens, he doesn't have to hit the brakes. He can kind of roll into it and save fuel that way.
That's exactly right. So there's two strategies here on how to draft with these cars. Obviously, one is you keep the foot to the floor, you kind of just drag your brake to make sure you don't run the guy over in front of you. Or if you're in the case of trying to save some fuel, like you see that number 89 of Matt Quick, you kind of see that gap in front of him. As you start getting a little closer to that car, you start rolling your throttle off a little bit there, just to try to separate that distance again a little bit. And I think right now, I mean, again, he's going to try to make sure his foot's not to the floor. Basically, the more his foot's off the gas, the better for him if he is on that fuel save mode. So again, that's kind of the strategies you'll see here. Is if you're Kevin Freeze, if you're Dale Willoughby, your foot's to the floor right now. There's no fuel save mode. You're going for everything. You're pretty much committed to a two-stopper, knowing that your final stop is probably just going to be pretty much a splash until you go green to the end. Did just cross the halfway point of the race a few laps ago, so we're down to 36 to go, starting lap number 40 now. Again, up front, still holding pretty steady here. So everything's been holding pretty steady since this last restart. Like I mentioned, I think those couple of cautions, I think that maybe caught these drivers' attention. Say, hey, we don't usually have this many cautions in this series, so I think they're kind of regrouping here and then doing what they do best right now. So I think that's what they're going to be planning here, is to try to make the pit stops really do the talking in this race and how the outcome is going to happen tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure there was they kind of looked internally about how they was racing maybe, and they were probably a little edging by the admin team here at Area 51, saying, "Hey boys, calm her down. It's still early."
Yeah, that's definitely something that could happen. Saying again, I mean, this is actually a bigger car count that we have had in the past few races. Up 31 cars were taking part in tonight's race, so I say that part of it's great. I mean, that's what you want to see. You want to have a good car count, so it helps the competition. But at the same time, though, then that kind of have to regroup and kind of just get readjusted to maybe some drivers that you don't race in week in and week out with. So that's where those cautions do come into play, and we see that all the time in other leagues as well. When you start kind of getting in a few new fresh faces, and that's just part of racing and even sim racing itself, just getting familiar with those around you. And that's why we've seen these races get better and better as these drivers just get more and more familiar with one another.
Now here's something we haven't dealt with today. You got Dale Wilby and Raymond Rittenhauer, Kevin Freese, the guys up front. They're catching the 6 car of Bud Steele. None of the difference is he's at race pace. He's just not in the draft, whereas everybody else they've lapped, has been off the pace due to an accident or damage from whatever.
Yeah, they're going to be catching too quickly, actually, because, he said first is going to be the 6 of Bud Steele. I say his foot's to the floor right now, but he's only going 190. According to the leaders here, going about 200, 205 here as they blow on by him. So he's going to just try to grab onto the back of this group here and then kind of just grab their draft and go as fast as he can. I was going to say they're about to pick up John Burrow, but you can see John's actually decided he's going to bail off and hit the pit road here. Didn't want to be any part of that one, so he's going to kind of just try to be a little bit extra cautious there, I should say. And it looks like everybody's going to get cycled through now. So basically for Bud Steele, his goal is just to try to fall into this draft here and not have to run solo again until they come back around and get him one more time.
It's not a bad position to be in. He doesn't have any damage that we can tell. Able to maintain pace. Just needs a little help. So if the stars align, and you get a couple cautions, being the first car lap down, he could potentially make that ground up.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is if the stars really align, it could cycle through. Actually, as I said, here comes some pit stops here, and it's going to be a big group of cars here. So you've got some of the lead pack right now. You got the 25, the 87, the 51. You see the one coming with a big head of steam there. Hopefully got it checked up in time there. We thought Gabe might be trying to go for the fuel save mode. He is not. He's going to hit the pits with his teammates as well. So you've got Kevin Freese, Raymond Rittenauer, Travis Turnmeyer, Eric Laurie, Will Eastman, and Gabe Butler all hitting the pit road here for service. So I think what they're doing here, Dale, is they're splitting this pit stop evenly, basically between these two stops here, instead of running one long and then the last one short.
Yeah, we talked about saving fuel. Matt Quick's still up here doing exactly what he's been doing with Brandon Pasolaco behind him helping at this point. Just still up there, leaving a big gap in front of him, maintaining the draft, just staying on that bottom line and riding around.
So now we're going to see if anybody else is going to react to it. Yep, here they come. 2 more hitting the pits here. That's going to be the 2 of the other teammates as well, the 7 and the 03. They're going to get those cars woed down here. Looks like they'll easily get it down to pit speed. So I think their goal here is to try to have a quick pit exit, entry and exit here to try to tag on with their teammates. As I say, you can see they're all locked. They're working on getting themselves hooked back up together here on the backstretch. All right, so I was going to say Matt Quick was stuck up in the front there for a little bit. I had a feeling that was not where he wanted to be, and you can see he's actually been able to kind of roll back, and he's allowed the 18 now, Roy Grandy, to get around him for the lead, and then now the outside really picking up some momentum. Now you got the 75 now of Josh Garner. He's taking over the front point of this race. So again, like we talked about the strategy call, so I think we are possibly seeing that pit strategy really take effect here. And if you're Matt Quick, I'll say one thing that some of the drivers may not realize is, again, Bud Steele, he pitted a little earlier under green, so he's actually only got, so I got to find him on my tick. He's only on lap number 12 of this run here. So Bud can go another about 10, maybe 15 more laps in that 6 car. And actually, as I say that, Bud Steele, he's going to take over the point of this race. Again, still laps down, but what this does, Dale, is he's now 2 laps down. And like we talked about, if should the stars line, should a caution comes out, he would actually get 1 more back for the wave round, which would put him just 1 lap down. So that's what we talked about for those stars aligning. That's exactly what that 6 of Bud Steele would be looking to have happen.
Yeah, really. And if I'm, the leader of this race, I'm going to let Bud down in front of me and use his draft so he gets to burn all the fuel and I get to ride and still lead the race.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's why I think if Matt Quick is going on that long run strategy in that 89 car, what's going to happen is when some of these leaders, when they have to make their pit stops, he's going to try to tag onto that 6 car, get that extra lap and see if that's going to be enough. Because again, you can't run, if you run a lap by yourself here, you're going to lose seconds. But if you can, even if it's just 2 cars, you're going to save so much time just with the 2 of you even, compared to running a solo lap.
Yeah, absolutely correct. It's a 20-mile-an-hour difference easily from a solo car to the draft.
All right, so now we're going to be playing compare the speeds of our leaders here. Oh, actually, I see the 071 Eric Laurie. He's had to hit the pits. I think Eric may have had a pit penalty there, possibly speeding on exit. And so you can see now Kevin Freeze, he was leading that pack. He's going to jump to the top. He's going to let Raymond Rittenauer take back over here up front. We've got let's see, it looks like a 6-car group here together. And again, this is going to be where we watch our leaders and see what their lap times are compared to this group that's just made their pit stops. And again, they're doing what they do best. Last time by Kevin Freeze here at 47.8. Leaders up front, 48.3 actually there. So they're about half a second slower than those 6 cars working together here.
Yeah, and we've seen it in this series time and time again where they're able to, group up and outrun the leaders, outrun the lead pack, catch back up, whatever they got to do. And it's just that communication, racing with each other every week and kind of getting a feel, knowing what a guy's going to do before he actually does it, just knowing how he reacts to situations.
Yeah, we got a few more hitting the pits here. Saw the 18 Roy Grandy hitting the pits, the 00 Thomas Holder, Brian Pierce, Paul Fletcher. So these drivers all pitting as well. And so right now it doesn't seem like too many are kind of going with my potential strategy of trying to stretch it on fuel. Right now I still have a couple that topped off on that 1 to go. That's going to be Brandon Passalacqua, Dean Wilkinson, and Joe McAdory. Those 3 topped off on the 1 to go. Matt Quick, he did not top off. However, he is still in this group as well. And again, I feel like Matt's one of the kind of the master fuel savers of this league. So we'll see. I'm not trying to sell it to anybody, but that could be a bit potential for us to see here tonight. And as I say, that a few more peel off. Looks like 2 more. We actually had one kind of slowing down up in front of the field there. That almost was huge, but somehow Bud Steele made some quick hands there to avoid that. And so we stay under green here. So those that just hit the pits now are Josh Garner, Brandon Passalacqua, and Todd Merkel. So those 3 hitting the pits together. But again, though, I'm still watching lap times, and especially with what happened there, that's going to lose them a lot of time. Even without that, though, again, Kevin Freeze 48.194, leaders 48.973. So again, about 7/8 tenths of the second quicker.
Happened exactly like we talked about. Now you have Bud Steele up there leading the line. The car's on the lead lap, able to, as we get more coming, looks like
it's a big group here coming in.
Much everybody else with the exception of Jack Walls and Matt Quick.
Yep. So you've got Dean Wilkinson, Joe McAdory, Robbie Richards, Charles Johnson, Michael Spell, Kyle Hess. They all hit the pits here, and yeah, like you said, so now that's going to cycle things through. So now you're going to have Bud Steele leading the way in that number. Bud Steele leading the group here. So again, not on the lead lap here, and you can see Matt Quick. He does not want to be the one to lead this group. You see he's actually kind of rolling off the back, I think, because you can see that that 001 there, able to pretty much pass them on his own. Eugene Vernon. And so what these two, I think what you see right here, Jack Walls, Matt Quick, they are trying to go full fuel save here, trying to stretch it as far as they can, because we are at 25 to go. I think this time around we'll be coming to 24 to go, and here those two come to pit now. So now it's going to be all about where they can get out in relation to the rest of the field here. So they'll be pitting here, coming to 24 to go, which means they need to stretch this next fuel stop another 24 laps. And I think Matt may have ran out, as you can see he's having to coast a little bit in that 89 machine.
Yeah, it's going to cost him a good bit of time. It's like you said, it's all going to depend on where they're able to come out, who they come out with, because two cars are just not going to get it done here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So if they can tag on with some of the other guys that just made their pit stops, they should be in okay shape. It's going to be all about just how much pace they have versus the rest of the field. So I say it was pretty much no question on what was going to happen up front. As you can see, that group up front now led by Dale Willoughby. They've taken over the lead again. So right now they are running first through sixth here, and they've got about, wait for the ticker to update here, but I think they've got about, looks like 9 seconds over that second group that just made their stops here. So now that I think the second group being led by Todd Merkel in the 81. You can see, yeah, they're running here 2 by 2, and so yeah, just great pit stops, great strategy. And we talked, this is what we talked about, Dale, the 83 and the 89 cars. I do not think they're going to be able to tag onto this lead pack here, so they're going to be in trouble. It's going to be tough for them to try to save fuel. They're going to have to try to fall back here and maybe pick up those cars behind them and try to save fuel with them, possibly.
Yeah, about almost 2 seconds gap between Kyle Hess and Jack Wall, so he's definitely not in range to latch onto the draft. And obviously we know Matt Quick cannot, he ran out of fuel coming down pit lane, and that cost him a good bit of time.
Yeah, so I mean, at this point, so basically off the leaders, like you said, so Jack Walls, yeah, he's about a second. He might be able to creep back up. I'm going to watch his lap times compared to the leaders. Let's see, Jack Walls, I haven't got a clean lap for him yet, so that won't help. So I'll wait for him to get a clean lap to see, but looking at his speeds here, he's about 198, 199, so he might still have just the inkling of a draft. But now that I'm looking at the ticker again, yeah, no, he's too far off the back of this group now. So yeah, so I think for Jack and the 89, I think Matt's actually doing exactly what I talked about. I think he's actually backed his pace off a bunch here because he's down to 180 miles an hour. He's waiting for this group in front of him, and he's going to try to just basically save as much as he could here and then tag onto this 3-car group I think that's coming up behind him. So we'll watch Matt, see if he can tag onto this group here, because that's going to be the next thing, of course, is make sure he can hook onto the back of these 3. And again, he's going to do what he did before, like you said, Dale, just kind of ride behind him, roll out of the gas as much as he can, see if he can get that 24 laps out of that tank. So he's going to grab onto the back of these guys here. And it looks like, yeah, he'll be able to kind of join in with this group here. So that's going to be the plan, I think, for Matt Quick. Jack Walls, he's kind of off in no man's land here, unfortunately, off by himself. So he is definitely off the pace. But he's actually doing the same thing here. I think he's slowing that car down a bunch. He's dropped it down to 165 miles an hour. So he's in the same boat here. He's thinking full fuel save. So I think these two are going for the one-stop strategy, and they're committed. They're going to stay with us the rest of the way. Everybody else, though, they're going for a 2-stopper, which, of course, we talked about the gap right now by our leaders here with Kevin Freeze now switching over to Gabe Butler leading the way. These guys are going to be going for one more stop here, and that window could be opening shortly. That's going to be the next question, is when do they make that final stop here?
Yeah, they got to kind of pick the perfect time. If they make it too late, it's going to be too far gone. To make it too early, it's the same situation. They just got to talk to each other and look at the relative, find out where everybody is on the track, and then make that decision.
And I mean, I know the other thing that I'm sure they're thinking about is making sure they have enough also for the potential of 2 green, white checkered finishes. So right now we're at 20 to go. They could make it from here, But let's say we get a caution with 2 to go, and you have the 3 attempts of a green light checker, you're never going to be able to save that much fuel to the end. So maybe let's say they wait till like 15 to go and then they pit. They'll know that they're in the window at that point to get to the end. But the thing is, I mean, what they're doing right now, they're fine. I mean, they're actually, as I say that, it's like I planned it. Here they come.
Yeah, and it's the whole group. That's 7 cars. That's not easy to do.
You could see how much they staggered apart from one another. And again, that's the communication. Some are going high, some are going low. Everybody got down to speed, looks like, without any troubles here. So they're going to all try to... This is their, of course, scheduled final stop of the race, coming to 20 to go, which will now cycle the lead back over to the 81 of Todd Merkel. And what I'm going to be watching for here is to see where this group comes out in relation to those that are trying to do that full fuel save, like the 89 and the 83. Looks like they will clear them here. But unfortunately, I think with them losing that main pack, it's just going to cost them so much time here. So it's going to be pretty exciting to see how this is all going to pan out here in these closing 19 laps.
Yeah, that group with Matt Quick and Jack Walls, they're still not formed all the way up. They're just now catching Jack Walls to pick him up.
And so it looks like lead packs are going to stay out one more time here. So let's jump back to that group. And you can see that they are not formed at all. Everybody's kind of jockeying around for position. So right now you've got the 4 of them. But just what's looking like to me is none of them want to lead here. And it's just going to cost them so much time right now. So I think that's what we're seeing right here. So it could, I think this could still work out for the 2 of them. I don't know if it's going to be a race winning decision, but I think it will be able to propel them from being maybe in the teens or something like that into that first of the leaders that didn't, or the first of the non-teammates, I guess you can word it as, which would put them in about the 7th or 8th positions, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, one of them's going to have to I guess, man up and decide they're going to be the leader. And I can tell you who it will not be, and that is Matt Quick. He's always going to be behind somebody.
Yeah, and I think that's why they have it set up now. You see Jack Walls, he's pushing I think that's the 001 of Eugene Vernon. And you've got, again, McElroy right there. And so basically they've got about, Eugene can pit, or can go about, I would say, about 13 more laps, I'd say, most likely in his car. But the thing is, we're going to watch lap times here shortly. As they're going to come around now this time by. And so let's see. So Eugene Vernon's leading that group. He ran a 49.3. Now we'll wait for the team group to come behind right now, which is right now he ran at 48.3. So full second of those guys, and they're still just kind of getting themselves organized and built back up there. So I mean, that's what's going to happen is actually Raymond and that group, they're going to be catching them probably within, I would say, about 5 to 7 laps, most likely. They'll be with that group behind us.
Yeah, they'll have plenty of time to get it done. Maintaining a great pace. They're absolutely going to catch that 4-car group. That's not even going to be an issue for them, and they'll probably have so much speed that they'll just march by them without noticing.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's exactly what it's gonna look like. I'm trying to see if anybody here on this first or in the second group, if they could stretch it that extra lap. So that's the other thing is, I mean, some of these guys that are in this main pack here, they pitted 1 lap earlier than Jack Walls and Matt Quick. However, they're in this lead pack, so the drivers that I would be watching on this group are going to be the 12 of. I said we've been focusing on those 2 the whole time: Robbie Richards, Dean Wilkinson, Michael Spell, Kyle Hess, Charles Johnson. Those drivers all pitted 1 lap before Matt Quick and Jack Walls, but they've been in this draft this whole time. So if they can save aggressively here, there's still a chance that they can make something happen and make this thing to the end.
Yeah, and again, Charles Johnson's at the end of that line, just kind of riding there. It's not costing him a whole bunch to be there. He's still tied on with the leaders. I think he's in a really good position.
Yeah, I'd say those 4 actually are definitely ones to keep an eye on here. So that's gonna be an interesting group to watch here. And then it's gonna kind of be that inner team battle, if you will. Because what's gonna happen is at some point, this lead pack, someone's gonna start having to peel off and make their final pit stop of the race. And so then again, it's gonna be that fight of who isn't gonna lead this race, and that's where you have to be careful. Where I say someone's going to have to almost be that sacrificial lamb, if you want to say, okay, I'll lead the group. I know I won't make it, but it might allow one of us to get this.
And that's something we've done in our races. you know, maybe not even for a win, but to get somebody the best position that they could possibly get for the point standing and all that. But it's, you know, we've done that in the series that we run as well.
It's not going to be an issue though, because we might have a caution here. 75 came across the nose of the 81, and he's trying to keep it straight. Actually, it looks like he's got the car pointing in the right direction, so we somehow stay green. Josh Garner had contact with the 81 of Todd Merkel, and so that sent the 75 around, and again, somehow he kept that car or got it pointed straight quick enough there before the next group caught him. So we do stay green here. I thought that was going to be it. We'd be getting a caution. We'd bunch them all back up, but we stay green. So we have 13 to go here, Dale. And say again, that's gonna slow that lead back up just a little bit. So I say it sounds silly, but it's gonna be just a little bit of extra fuel savings for these guys as well.
You're absolutely right. Here's I'm kind of surprised to see what I'm seeing back here with that other group with Jack Walls, Matt Quick's up there in the second row with nobody in front of him.
Yeah, you're right. He's jumped up to the top here. Maybe he feels comfortable that he can make it. And I say what we might be seeing is, I think, again, we talked about that group that's going to be, so you can see him, they're right there behind him now. Maybe Matt's hoping that they'll, again, he's one of their teammates, so he's hoping that they'll pick him up and he can kind of be that one to lead this pack. Maybe, again, we talked about the fuel savings and all of that. Maybe that one extra lap was enough for him to feel comfortable making it to the end. So I was going to say, see if that'll work, but no, they're going to jump to the top side. However, you can see the one of Gabe Butler, he's fallen off the back of this group just a little bit here. So Matt might be able to sneak in right behind. I believe that's the 03 of Kevin Hash. And that'll turn that, I believe that was a 7 to an 8-car group. And of course, those other 4 up there, able to get to the back of this as well. This is going to be a pretty big group of cars drafting here.
Yeah, just going to help so much more. Gabe Butler going on Matt Quick on the inside kind of surprised me. I thought maybe he'd pick him up, but
however, with all that was happening there, say we can jump back up front, because with that little checkup that we had, I say that's actually moved Paul Fletcher now into the lead. Saying Paul was upside down at one point in this race, used the toe, used a fast repair, saying he's able to kind of set pace here up front, which I say again, these guys all for the most part are going to have to make one more pit stop to get to the end. But I say regardless of that, I say just to be where he was earlier and to be up front leading this race now, I would say that's always kind of a nice thing to be able to bounce back and at least be up in front here in contention at in the closing laps as we're about to get to the 10 to go mark here. And as I said, here comes a few more into the pits. Looks like Paul Fletcher, Will Eastman, the big head of steam. Don't know if he got it checked up in time. That looks like that may be a speeding penalty for that 120 car. And also got Thomas Holder in the 00, as well as the 18 of Roy Grandy, and also the 57 of Brian Pierce. Alright, so we talked about who might be the sacrificial lamb, if you will. That's going to be the next question. Do any of these, does Todd Merkel, does Brandon Paslacco, do they just run this thing out until they have to make their final stop of the race? And then what do these guys behind them do? So right now, those front 2, they are the ones that I don't think there's any chance that they can make it to the end. But those 5, it looks like behind them, they're all, I think, jockeying for that driver to be that first one on the fresh tires, or I should say the first one, or not to be the first one, that's what I'm looking for, to be leading this group here. As you can see, actually, Robbie Richards, you got to be careful here because he's starting to fall off the back of these 2. So you don't want to lose the draft entirely here. So, because if you do that, I mean, that's just going to bring that group that already pitted with Kevin Freeze, Travis Turnmeyer and company. It's going to bring them back up to you here at the end.
Yeah, the one thing that could, really throw a wrench in all this would be a caution. Coming around, we're under 10 to go now. A caution will really throw all the strategy out the window, and then it'll just be every man for himself at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it almost happened. I mean, we saw the 75 and the 81 get together, but somehow they didn't bring out a caution just because of where the slide happened. So I'll say again, watching lap times here. So right now, Travis Turnmeyer leading that group. He's running at 47.8. Meter's running 48.7. So Again, about a second of a lap slower here. And but that being said, though, they're about 15 seconds off the lead, so they'd have to go faster than that to catch these guys if they stay out the rest of the way. So it's right now it's going to be all about the strategy here, Dale. These guys stretching on fuel, and actually, as I say that again, at this point, Robbie Richards, he's lost the draft of those two in front of him. As you can see, he's fallen off about a full second from them. So, like I said, I think some of these drivers, they don't want to be the ones that lead this race, and those ones behind them, they don't want to. They're just going to say, okay, you break the draft here. We'll go slow, but we're going to stay slow behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, this like 7 to go. I mean, especially a guy like Matt Quick, you got to save every ounce of fuel you can.
This is going to be interesting because Robbie Richards, he ran a 49.7, Dale. Travis Turnmeyer, again, leading that group, he ran a 47.7, so 2 seconds a lap now slower. And so, I mean, you do the math there. We got 7 to go. They're about 14 seconds off of them. They're going to get there by the time this one, if it ends under scheduled distance. So they got to be sure they don't back off too much because they'll say they're going to be saving all this fuel, and it's going to be for nothing if they're not careful.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely taking a risk, but sometimes these kind of risks win races for you. So I understand where they're coming from.
As like Charles Johnson, he's done waiting. He's going to get that push from the 55 Dean Wilkinson. They're going to clear that 12 of Robbie Richards. So I think they're probably looking at that interval as well, noticing that that gap was shrinking and quickly because that last time by Robbie was actually in the 50-second bracket, 50.1. So again, let's say, I mean, you're losing over 2 seconds a lap right now to those guys behind you. So even if you can make it on fuel, you might still wind up cycling yourself all the way back there. And you can see that second group is starting to show up in the outside of the camera as they come through the backstretch.
Yeah, it's not really going to help anybody. They kind of need to tack on and just go at this point. I understand what they're doing, but they have to maintain. They have to watch that clock closely, do the math in their head, or have their spotter or crew chief, whoever, maybe they need to tell them as well, hey, you got to pick it up a little bit.
Yeah, so what's happened now is everybody's kind of cycled through. Now you got kind of like the old tandem racing at Daytona Talladega. So you got the front two still, Todd Merkel, Brandon Pasalacqua, they're locked on together. So I think what we saw Charles Johnson doing there is he wanted to get back to the group with these guys here, and they have done so. And again, they're starting to. So now we've got the group together. And I think that was what Robbie should have done from the get-go, was just stay at least. Let's say obviously still try to save as much as possible, but try to stay on the back. But here's going to be the problem. Here comes those two. They're going to make their last pit stop of the race, the 81 and the 21. And so now this is going to be the kind of that no man's land where you see Bud Steele. He doesn't want to lead. He's going to move to the top. They're going to follow him. So at this point now it's going to be, like I said, someone might have to be that sacrificial lamb. And right now it looks like it could be that 90 of Charles Johnson. Although, as I said, they're coming up on the 90 down the middle. I'd be curious to see, do they tag on to the back of that car, or does John have too much damage? Possibly. The car looks clean. So you might see Charles Johnson maybe try to tag onto the back of that 90 and say, you lead this group. I need you here. But it looks like they're going to go ahead and pass him.
Yeah, John Burrow's going to stay up high and just let him go. He'll tack onto the back end, most likely, and salvage what he can in this race.
Yeah, this is going to get dicey here at the end. Say the pace has picked up from the leaders. They're now up into the 48s again. At this point, I'd say if you're the 9 of Charles Johnson, you probably cannot make it. But again, I mean, he was just kind of, I think he kind of drew the short stick, if you will, or short straw. I forgot the term for it, but I think he's just kind of wound up being the one to lead this pack here. So I'd say we're 3 to go here, Dale. Again, watching the distance, you can see the second group is within about 6 seconds of the lead here. Okay, we'll jump back over to them because I think that is being led by Travis Turnmeyer in that 51 machine. We've got Kevin Freeze right behind him, and you can see, again, Gabe Butler, he's worked his way back up into this mix as well. He's on the first car on the outside with Raymond Rittenauer working with him. So now it's just whether or not can they catch these guys in front of them quick enough, because that gap now down to about 4 seconds. 1 to 3, coming to 2 to go.
Yeah, they're gaining ground real quick, but like you say, coming to 2 to go.
Oh, they're there. They're there. Everybody's playing games now up front, and all the strategy they had is just going to go out the door right here because they just wasted too much time trying to fight over who was going to be the leader. Because actually, I wasn't even looking at the lap times. The last time by, they were in the 52 second bracket, Dale. losing about 4 to 5 seconds here. So this is going to get a little hairy now with the speed difference of this pack to the guys coming up behind him here.
Exactly what Travis Turnmeyer wanted to see and didn't want to see at the same time, because now they got to work their way through these slower guys ahead.
Yeah, so now say at this point, I mean, I feel like most of these guys are going to want to see the white flag. So now you got to say now there's no saving. I say there's no strategy. You go up the floor and do what you can here. You can see the inside line with those drivers trying to stay the field. They've decided to just pick up the pace and go for it now. However, Travis Turnmeyer, he's had the momentum. He's just got his nose ahead for the moment of that 88 of Michael Spell. As we're going to cross line, we will get the white flag here. So this is the final lap of the race here. So now can those guys on the inside, do they have enough fuel to make it to the end? Or will they end up sputtering at a bad time here? And if they do have enough fuel, can they do anything with that outside line?
Yeah. You got Kevin Freese back there in second as the pusher. You can't ask for a better guy on your bumper, especially here. If it's going to happen, he's going to make it happen.
Yeah, I see one peeling off there, the 86. Oh, you see the 55, the 12. It looks like they're all running out there. You see them all drop to the apron, so now it's going to be a race between the teammates here at the end. So you got the 51, Travis Turnmeyer. He's still leading the way. He's got the 25 behind him. Trouble behind there. You see Jack Walls. He goes for a ride here as they come through the trial over here. It looks like Kevin Freese is going to stay locked onto that bumper. And Travis Turnmeyer going to get the win. Kevin Freese in second. I think Matt Quick's going to grab that third position here. Double check at the line, and then Gabe Butler comes out of nowhere. He's going to grab that fourth position. So say Gabe turning a bad night into a decent, solid result for him, moving all the way back up to fourth from the 24th spot. And actually, Dale, that will also get him a bonus point as being the highest climber of this race, gaining those 20 spots tonight.
I say kind of, but I'm really impressed with. Again, Matt Quick and the fuel savings ended up in third place to get the podium out of that.
Yeah, that was 25 laps here, but say I'm not. I wouldn't say this won't sound like a biased thing, but I'm really happy here to see that 25 of Travis Turnmeyer get the win tonight. He's been on he's been on the podium here, but he's been the pusher, and now tonight he finally put himself in that position to beat that pushy. Kevin Freese stuck with him the whole way around, and he's going to get the win here tonight at Talladega. So it was definitely just it was coming. It was just a question of when, and it was able to get it done tonight here. So watch that 51 burn it down here on the front stretch. Saying that number 51 Amsoil Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. So yeah, we had some strategy, Dale. The strategy on saving fuel versus getting trying to stretch it on the last run. So basically, it was kind of two thoughts. There was, do you save the lap on the first part of the run, or do you save it on the second part of the run? And I say both almost worked out. Unfortunately, a lot of those guys on the second half of the run, they wound up running kind of sputtering at the end. But like you said, though, that the 89 Matt Quick, he found a way to stretch it and get it all the way back up into that, get it all the way back up in that third spot.
So great performance. I mean, really was, especially like you say for Travis Turnmeyer. Came into this race, scored 13th in the standings, so this is definitely going to help him boost up there good ways.
Yeah, it was a great result for him. So while we watch him continue his celebrations, I think that motor's going to pretty much have all it could take here shortly. I'll say we're going to grab our top three. So give us just a moment and we'll get those guys pulled up here. All right, so we're going to start things off with our third place finisher, that number 89 of Matt Quick. So we'll grab Matt in here and bring him in. So Matt started from 6th position, finishes in 3rd position. But that was a challenge for you tonight. I say, obviously, I saw your strategy. You and the 83 Jack Walls, you went for the stretch on the run before the pit stops happened there. Some went to try to stretch it on the last part of the run. Obviously, unfortunately, we saw you sputter just that little bit coming into the pits, and that cost you a lot of time as we saw. But then you're able to kind of get tagged back on there with your team and saved enough fuel, and then still had the pace at the end to be in contention there for the win at the end of this one.
Yeah, that's called the line. there was nothing else past that line because I ran out at the line on the finish of the race. I got about as lucky as you can get. I tried to stretch it out. I knew everybody else was pitting early, but I saw I could make it a one stop, so I wanted to see what everybody else was doing. And then I saw everybody pit like 2 laps before I was planning on to pit. And then I saw Jack Walls hang out with me, let him know I was going to sputter into pit road, and I did. And then we lost the pack there, so then I just tried to grab a bunch of some lap cars, and I just tried to hang on for dear life. And then I saw this guy's rampage after their second stop there, and they were killing us by 2 seconds a lap. And I tried to break them up a little bit. They had to pass the third lane. I was able to catch on like fifth in line there, and then I just rode around, and I was keeping a dead eye on my fuel. I was riding about 3/4 throttle all the way through that, and I lasted longer than Jack. So I see he ran out of fuel. Looks like he's like 11 seconds behind or so. So yeah, not the best strategy, but hey, I finished with everybody else. So can you really argue it?
Yeah, I mean, it worked out. I say that was the thing was, let's say there was the two trains of thought. I will admit, I was a little surprised you didn't top off there at the end. I kind of figured of you of all people would be the one to take that little bit of extra fuel to give yourself that little bit of a cushion possibly to run that extra lap. Were you worried at all about maybe losing the draft on the restart, or did you feel like you could do enough to save there without it?
I needed it at first. I was more worried about track position because all the wrecks were happening in the back. And that's what happened to Gabe Butler. He was pretty well under power. He still finished fourth, but he was under power because he was in the first two wrecks or so. And it was just because he was back there. So I didn't want to lose track position. And but yeah, I didn't think about topping off. I thought we were really good. And then as long the longer that run went, I was like, man, maybe I'm not so good. So I just try to get in the bottom lane and then just kind of ride and let other people pass and lead. And I figured if I had more people on my strategy, it would have been a lot better because I don't think they would have been able to catch us. But that's a debate for the day. There has to be more than one person do my strategy for me to win because the other guys they're just flying through. I mean, they're playing that they're doing an Indian run there, except for whoever's hottest up front moves the back and all that baloney. So they were flying 2 seconds faster a lap, blowing past the field. I'll give the rest of the field. Like, I mean, they didn't run out to like turn three there, but they would have stayed out one more lap with me. I think we would have had a chance.
Yeah, as in that was what Dale and I were noticing was there was kind of the two trains of thought. There was what you and Jack did, the run long in the first part of it, and then we had a bunch of them go for the long run on the second part of it. And what was happening though was at the end they were all, it was basically everyone was fighting to not be the leader of that group, and so at the end, I mean, they were losing time hand over fist, unfortunately, and that's really what got you guys all back up to them there at the end. But yeah, like you said, if they had been able to stretch it just a little bit more, if you guys were able to get out of that pits with maybe like five or so cars, I think that strategy definitely could have played out for you guys in a better way. But again, I mean, just we joked during the race, just you're kind of your Mr. Fuel Save, and so you proved it once again, and so you were able to make it work. Still, and again, still wind up with a top three finish. So I mean, as all things considered, that's a pretty good result there tonight.
Pretty lucky. I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you. I was leaving my fuel as soon as they caught us, and I was like, and we pegged up like 10 mile an hour, and I was I was like 3/10 under, so I thought I was gonna be one of those fools running out of turn three or four. But luckily, she didn't sputter till I hit the start finish line. So I'm pretty stinking lucky. That I am the line. There was nothing else past me because Jack got left out alone when we came out of pits because him and I weren't together. That made us both lose the pack. And then so I saw somebody like 6 seconds behind me, so I literally clutched it and caught on behind them. That was the only thing that saved me today.
Yeah, so that's what Dale and I noticed. We're at one point your lap times dropped off a bunch, letting those guys catch you. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, "Well, Matt's." We were commenting like, "Yep, he's fully committed. He's going to this one to the end." So, great run though tonight, Matt. So you able to make it work. Obviously, definitely not a walk in the park tonight to grab that third place, but definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and chats I'd like to give.
Well, I want to thank you guys for broadcasting. Thanks for everybody else putting on the league. I hope I was entertaining enough trying to find a different strategy because you had three different strategies going on. I'm glad I didn't get ran over by Travis and Kevin and all them freight training us, and I'm just thankful enough that I just had enough to hang on. I wanted to push Hatch to the win, but I knew I did not have enough fuel for that. I knew I was going to run out like either at the end of pit road or maybe halfway through the tri-oval, and that would have made things a little bit worse. So I just stuck to the bottom because if I did run out, I could just hit the apron. So Sorry to Kevin.
Yeah, it worked out well though. So you can just owe him one next time.
Will do. Thank you guys. I appreciate everything.
Thank you, Matt. Great run.
Thank you.
All right, Dale, that was our third place finisher, that number 89 of Matt Quickly said, doing the super fuel save there at the end. Say obviously getting a good result tonight, but maybe hoping that his competition would have finished just a little further back to make that next race, the finale here at Daytona, a little bit closer. Is that number 25 of Kevin Freeze? He brings it home in that second position. So we'll pull Kevin in over here. And did you suspect you're going to see that number 1 of Gabe Butler in your mirror at the end of that race after everything that went on for him?
It certainly was pretty eventful in that beginning portion for him. He got caught up in quite a bit of mess. But it's typical Gabe fashion, be right up front with us at the end.
So obviously you probably have a little bit of insider knowledge more than we do, but we saw him. He got a first lap in. Was it just that his timing was a little bit off to complete that second lap before qualifying had completed?
Yeah, 1 second short on the timer. He was almost there, but fortunately it didn't count.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously going to gain a little bit of points over him with the second to his fourth. I want to say, obviously, were you able to, the other question, of course, is were you able to have a no incident point race for yourself at least?
Yep, 0 incident points, led some laps. Pretty good race.
Yeah, so I mean, that's going to come into play as well. So I think it was like 11-point gap, I want to say, between the two of you entering. So it's going to definitely shrink a little bit into that finale at Daytona. So I know you guys don't really look at it too much. You kind of just, as long as you guys are doing well as a team, that's kind of job number 1 for sure. Which was job number 1, definitely well done there tonight, because I believe you guys wound up with the top 7-8 spots, if I'm not mistaken, for tonight's event.
Yeah, we were. This was probably our best executed race as a team. We all did a great job on our pit stops. Tried to separate a little bit from each other on the first one, make sure we had enough space. But every single one was just perfect.
Yeah, you guys did what you needed to do, and we're commenting too. Say now, you kind of we know, say week in week out. I mean, Dale and I were talking about, like if you want someone, if there's somebody you want to see behind you pushing, say you're probably going to be that one of those ones to see behind you. So you're able to get Travis out to the front there and kind of set sail to the end, and it kind of looked like the shoes on the other foot, where we've seen Travis be that pusher to the end this time, and say you're able to kind of return the favor for him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's a great teammate. I'll push any of the teammates to a win. Win for the team is win for me. Even with the championship, I'm pretty sure Gabe's got it locked up. Even if he has an eventful race again, just knowing him, he'll do what he needs to do to win it.
So I'm going to pull up the standings. I am curious to see where it was. So so it was actually 16 points going into tonight. So like I said, I mean, it's definitely going to close up a little bit, like I said, with your finishing position tonight, and of course the no incident points, because I believe no incident points is actually 3 bonus points as well. So that's going to definitely go a long ways for you. So they say it might be in about an 11-point difference between the two of you going into that finale at Daytona.
Yeah, that's what it should be, right about that. But as long as one of us wins it, I think it's between the two of us. But Gabe wins it. He's a great teammate. He can win it.
No, so you guys, let's say again, the unselfishness of your team, just it's amazing to see. And I mentioned as well, I got to be a part of it a few weeks back, and it was in full force again tonight. So definitely want to give you the floor here. Any thanks shouts you'd like to give for that second place tonight?
Yeah, huge shout out to the teammates. All did a great job staying together, cycling through the draft, make sure nobody got too hot to the point that they'd blow up. So it was a great run for us. And thank you to you for doing the great broadcast.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. I was happy to have my partner in the booth again with me as well, able to keep an eye on things that I might miss as well. So, I say it's going to be a lot of fun going into next week and seeing you guys race this one out for season 6.
Oh, absolutely. Hope we put on a good show at Daytona.
All right, Dale, that's our second place finisher, that number 25 of Kevin Freeze, which is going to lead us into our race winner. So we'll speed things up so we can catch back up to his burnout here while we have a chat with him, though. Let's go ahead and pull up that number 51 Amsoil Chevrolet, driven by Travis Turnmeyer. So we talked about hoping that one of those days you'd be the one to be that leader, and tonight was your night. So you got to get out front there, and from there you're able to get it done here tonight. So I'm sure that's nice to get that win tonight, even though, again, I know you're more in it for the team game thing, but obviously I'm sure it feels good to get that win tonight.
Oh yeah, it's what me and Kevin's talking about a minute ago. He says he's glad he finally got me one. You know, a lot of third place finishes. That was can't say no more about teamwork than that right there. That's perfect strategy on the whole boot knocker team right there.
Yeah, I mean, how crazy was it for you guys after the last pit stop? I mean, I'm sure you guys were aware that some were going to try to stretch it instead of going for that two-stop strategy. I mean, was that pretty much you guys, or your goal at the end was just to kind of push as hard as you can to just basically, if someone does try to stretch it, to make no question that you guys would have a chance to chase them down?
Oh yeah, we were watching their lap times. We seen them back down to, high 49s and up into the 50s. So we knew they were trying to stretch it, and we were watching their lap counts, and we knew they were going to be right there on the edge. But I think I looked down when we had 15 to go, and we were 25 seconds back. So we made one hell of a run at them.
Yeah, you guys definitely did that. And when I say Dale and I were noticing just the pit stops as well, especially that final pit stop you guys had. I think it was 7 of you going in. Everybody all staggered out side by side, make sure everybody gave each other plenty of room. But then again, the more impressive part, just you guys all got right back out together, got relined up, and again, like I said, just start setting sail again and chasing those guys back down.
Yeah, we've really been working on that. We kind of got distanced there for a little bit on our pit stops, and really started to hone in on that. As that's the only way that you're going to be able to make the time that you need in these races, is to get in as quick as you can and come right back out nose to tail and get right back at it.
Yeah, you guys played it to perfection tonight. I was gonna say, it was, I had comments. I was like, didn't want to sound biased, but I was say it was really nice to see you get the win here this evening. So I say, we know you've been on the being the pusher, so it was really nice to see you be the pushy and get that win tonight. So we've seen your unselfishness week in, week out, so it was awesome to see you kind of get the reap the rewards, if you will, of it tonight. So definitely want to give you the floor here, Travis. Any thanks, shouts you'd like to give for pulling off that win tonight?
I want to thank all them boys over at Boot Knocker, man. I couldn't do this without them. You know, they've helped me throughout the years. They've made it to where I've won championships on these super speedways. It is one remarkable team. I don't know what I'd do without that group of guys. We're all best friends, and we have our ups and downs, but we all iron them out. And just want to give a big shout out to all them guys over there, and thank you, Gail and Dale, for putting this on. Area 51, man, we really enjoy this every Sunday night.
It's always a pleasure to be a part of it. So yeah, enjoy this one, Travis. Obviously got one more to go for the finale at Daytona, and then say it'll be time to start getting set up for season number 7. So I'll say hopefully see you guys all back here again, because I'll say I have a feeling it'll be pretty fun to see you guys kind of challenge with each other. See if any of you can kind of knock Gabe and Kevin down off that pedestal a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see how that pans out. It's going to be a dog fight to the end between them two, but hey, I couldn't ask for no more. Have two teammates up there fighting for 1 and 2 for the championship.
Yeah, that's what you got to go for. Sometimes it makes it tricky, but so you guys are making it work. So yeah, congrats again. You guys doing an awesome job. But yeah, definitely enjoy this one tonight, Travis. You definitely well-deserved, well-earned. I look forward to catching you next week, though.
Sure thing. Thank you, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show.
All right, Dale, that is our race winner, that number 51 of Travis Turnmeyer. So we'll go over our final results here real quick. So again, talk to our top 3, that 51, 25, and 89. Getting that 1, 2, 3 finish. Gabe Butler somehow finds his way back up into the 4th spot after a pretty tough evening for himself. Kevin Hash in 5th. Raymond Rittenauer 6th. Dale Willoughby in the 7th position. Charles Johnson in 8th. Jack Walls tried to stretch it there on fuel. didn't quite pan out for him. He winds up in 9th. Michael Spell in the 10th position. So say actually Charles and Michael, they did stretch that field. But you can see the gap that they had to those guys in front of them, just not quite enough to make it all the way to the end in that lead pack.
Yeah, heck of a performance again to all the boot knocker guys. You know, the communication, the teamwork, just the raw talent and skill really showed through as it does every week. But real happy for Travis Turnmeyer coming here with his first win.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you got 11th through 20th. You got Dean Wilkinson, Kyle Hess, Robbie Richards, Todd Merkel, Brandon Pasalaco, Thomas Holder, Paul Fletcher, Roy Grandy, Joe McAdory, and Josh Garner. And then 21st through 30th, some of these drivers not having the nights they're hoping for, obviously, with Eugene Vernon in 21st, followed by Will Eastman, Brian Pierce, Eric Laurie, Bud Steele, John Brill, Dwight Plush, Jim Brooks, Gary Corley, and Charles Teed. And I always hate when there's just one driver by himself in that last page, but I'll say in that 31st position is that number 8 of Dude Conrad. So again, hopefully everything was going okay for him. I had to step away at some point during the race. So, but yeah, he was also up in that mix with those guys, and I pretty much without a doubt, I think he would have been in there if not for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, something outside of them, maybe it's a hardware issue or whatever. We don't know, but there's something there that caused him to drop out. It's a real shame.
And so with that is our race for this evening. I'm saying actually they do have the points already updated. So yeah, it is going to be an 11-point gap between that one of Gabe Butler, 25 of Kevin Freeze going into the finale next week at Daytona. So I'll say it'll be fun to see how they're able to battle it out. I say both these drivers, Dale, say they've got the 9 top 5s, 9 top 10s out of the 11 starts, so they've been up front pretty much week in and week out. But it's those win differences that really separate the two of them, with Gabe having the 6 to Kevin's 1 here.
Yeah, still a chance though. I mean, it's 6 to, like say, Kevin's 1, but with the 11-point gap, there's still anything could happen coming down the last race.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You never know how these things are going to pan out. So with that, I say we want to thank you all again for joining us here with Green White Checker TV with the Area 51 Racing League's Superspeedway Cup Series. We'll be back, of course. Next week's going to be our finale week. Tuesday, we got the Indy Series. Going to be a nice battle between that 27 of Craig Forsyth, the 72 of Eric Schaus. Definitely keep an eye out on that one. That's going to be a fun one. It's going to be Indianapolis. 75 laps will be that race finale. Thursday night will be the Cup Series. That one's pretty much locked up, but we have a great fight for the 2nd through, I believe, 5th positions in the Cup Series. And, of course, next week we'll be back again here on Sunday at Daytona for the finale. We'll see if Kevin Freeze or Gabe Butler is going to be our Season 6 champion. So, again, as always, if you can, please try to stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, and until Tuesday, have a good night.